everyone. Welcome back. MTL Sports. We're back. Episode 107 for today. For today, we're going to wrap up ESPN's top 10 list for the position groups. I think we got corners, we got some wideouts, and we got off-ball linebackers. So I think not edge rushers, but probably just like Mike linebackers and Will linebackers. So we got that on the agenda today. Plus recap of UFC 304. Lawrence gave some good bets over the weekend. Hopefully you guys, rode with our guy. And we'll recap some other things as well. So please stay tuned. This. First, let's tackle the wideouts. The top 10 list. ESPN put out a few weeks ago. We're finally getting to the conclusion of this. Now, you might be saying, "Hey, you guys didn't talk about offensive linemen." Well, yeah. Well, we don't know too much about offensive linemen. Sorry, not sorry. So. I know last year, I think when we did this, Lawrence, we were just like, yeah, we kind of agree. But, I mean, in all reality, we don't know anything about offensive linemen. And the little knowledge that we do know is not going to be helpful.
That's a specialty in itself to know them, to know a lot about offensive linemen. I just feel like it's something that, if you're into it, yeah, but otherwise you kind of rate O-lines as a whole and not by an individual group.
Yeah. I agree with that one. All right. First, off the jump, we got Justin Jefferson, highest paid receiver. Got the biggest contract. Was it like 4 years for like 140 or something? So he's making the big bucks, big bucks. Well deserved as well. I have no problem with him at number one. Lawrence, how do you feel about his number one ranking?
I mean, I don't think there's anything wrong with him being number one. I think you can easily go between him and Tyreek Hill. I think that's how fantasy picks go too. You can pick either one of them, one before the other. And the way Madden rated it, I think Madden gave Tyreek a 99 and they gave Justin Jefferson a 98. So, I mean, you're basically just saying you're 1 and 2 right there. But according to Madden, Tyreek would be number one. I think in my own head, I would probably put Tyreek number one, mainly just because of that speed factor. Now, would I say Tyreek's hand, like the hands ability, is better than Justin? Probably not. I think Justin has better hands, but Tyreek arguably was way closer to getting to 2,000 yards, which he said he was going to do, which if he could have just had a few better games, and I think he did miss one game last year, so, there was a chance they could have gotten there. The key word there was could.
Yeah, no problem with Tyreek at 2, personally. Very fast, he was productive with, Patrick Mahomes and the Chiefs, but when he went to Miami, he just turned to another animal. I mean, back-to-back 1,700-yard seasons? I mean, that's nothing to scoff at. One of the few, I think he's like the only guy to ever do that in NFL history. So, like, when you're playing like that, bro, you deserve top 2. Number 3, got your boy Chase Uno. For me, no problem with him being at 3. He's very, very productive. He had a 1,000-yard season last year when he missed like 4 games. So similar to what Justin Jefferson did last season. And then last year he was on and off between, Joe and Jake Browning. So, and still put up a pretty decent stats. So no problems with Chase at 3. Lawrence, how you feel about Chase at 3?
No issues with Chase at 3. That's the only unfortunate thing, that Chase is at 3, which is unfortunate to T. Higgins because, T. Higgins, unfortunately, you can't get paid.
Yeah, definitely can't get paid if you're not going to be in anyone's top 10, unfortunately. Number 4, we got CD Lamb with them boys. Your boys, I don't know if his contract extension's official, Lawrence. I've been hearing like it's official, and then some people say the numbers aren't official yet. So he's about to get paid if he hasn't already. But how do we feel about CD at 4?
I think it's a little bit of a stretch. No, I do like CD as a receiver. I think he's pretty good. I think he's a good. I think he's good. I think the biggest thing about CD is he's just the best one on his team, and I think there's a big drop off from the rest of the guys
Mm,
on his team, which is putting him higher than what he kind of is. I just feel like CD is more of a possession kind of guy. And I think he just racks up like, 10, 11 catches in a game. Whereas like, Jamar Chase is going to get about 6 to 7 with the same amount of production. And I think like a Devontae Adams gets about 6 to 7 with the same amount of production than CD does. And I think that just kind of has to fall back on who the quarterback is. Because honestly, Dak doesn't put guys in bad situations. He kind of gets them the ball in the correct spot in order to get down and not get hurt. And CD doesn't have like a burner ability. Yeah, he can burn some guys, but he doesn't burn everyone every week.
mm. Yeah, I think CD at 4 is the stretch. I mean, honestly, a bad year for Devontae, I think, is still better than CD. So at 4 is a stretch. Like you said, Cowboys receiving room isn't that good. Michael Gallup just retired, even though he went somewhere else and signed, but then retired after the fact. So they really don't have too much going on there. So that probably gives them the edge over. Justin has another guy. Tyreek has Waddle, Chase has Higgins. So this probably like overvalues CD a little bit, but like I said, Devontae at 5, I feel like he probably should be at least 4, if not higher. And some people might have him higher. Lawrence, how do you feel about Devontae in a down year with the Raiders being at 5?
I think the best thing you can say it's a down year. I mean, the Raiders look kind of productive with him, and I think it was Myers. And I mean, we didn't even know who they were putting at quarterback half the season. And I mean, they went into the season with Jimmy G, and we knew how that was going to go. So, I mean, Devontae Adams put up the good fight, but if they can get him to New York, like they're talking about, to the Jets, I think you're looking at Devontae Adams probably being the top 3 receiver again this season if he's in the New York. Even with Garrett Wilson there, I mean, honestly, you're not going to say more power to him, but I mean, I don't know how you guard that. If Aaron Rodgers stays healthy, I mean, Garrett Wilson will probably be sluggish for the first couple of weeks because they don't have much chemistry. But Devontae and Aaron are just going to go right back in.
Yeah, that'll be a scary, not only just A-Rod and Adams linking back up, but they would actually have a 1-2 punch. Garrett Wilson, honestly, he's definitely honorable mention for the top 10, as we'll see a little bit later on. But yeah, he has a lot of talent as well. So we'll have to see how that folds out. 6, AJ Brown. Last year he was number 7, so a slight move up. Now at one point AJ was in the MVP discussion when he had like those. Didn't he have like a stretch of like it was like 4 or 5 games with like 100+ yards and like a TD or something? Like he was on fire for when the Eagles were like 10-1 to start the season. How do you feel about AJ being at 6?
I like it, but I don't like it. I mean, I've always thought AJ Brown's a little overrated. I never thought I still don't think he's all that amazing. I
Okay.
think he's too much of a diva in like the terms of like like a TO kind of diva. That's more toxic than good for a team. I mean, your team is winning and you're complaining and whining about not getting more touches on a drive. I mean, I'm not trying to say a man is selfish, but like you guys were undefeated and you're complaining about your touches. At the end of the day, if I'm undefeated, I don't care how much touches I'm getting. I'm still getting good stats. I'm literally in an MVP discussion, and I'm complaining about my catches and whatever you want to complain about. You're complaining about that, and you look at the guy right below him, and it's the polar opposite. He doesn't complain. He doesn't have any other wide receivers on his team. It's him and a rookie tight end, and they're just lighting it up. And yeah, it makes his list a little skewed because he's got a good tight end. I mean, the Eagles have the fact that the Eagles are not like maxed out in their salary cap this season is mind-boggling. The same way the
Yes.
49ers aren't. It's like it doesn't make any sense. Like they have these guys, and you see their contracts, and you're like, well, how does this? There's no way all this does not add up to them being the most expensive. I mean, you got Goddard, which everyone thinks highly of. You got um, you got AJ Brown
Get
and
Devontae.
Devontae Smith, and there's still one more wide receiver that's not that bad on their team. So you got kind of like you gotta have three guys. You now have Saquon, which how Saquon doesn't blow up your budget, I don't know. I guess because you don't pay running backs anyway. But still, regardless, I mean, you had Swift, so he had to cost something as well. I mean,
Yep.
you had all these weapons, and both of those, and Swift was a receiving wide receiver too, so it does make Brown's job easier. But yeah, I just thought Brown was a little. I think he's. I think overrated is a mean thing to say because yeah, he's really productive. I just think the problems off the field. I mean, you have a Pro Bowl quarterback and you're complaining still. I mean, it doesn't make any sense. Like you just honestly, you're just hurting your own brand.
Yeah, I'm not really for the diva antics all that much. Like sometimes I believe it's warranted. In AJ Brown's case, like he was just making a big fuss of nothing. Like you said, you guys are undefeated and you're complaining for what exactly? Like a lot of people would love to be in your position. So I agree with you right there, Lawrence. And Devontae Smith could easily step in and be the number one. He's a Heisman Trophy winner. He has a huge ego if he wanted to, but he's just comfortable playing behind you and being the number two guy and still catching around 1,000 yards every season. So shout out to Devontae, honestly. Um, and Amon-Ra, nothing to say here. The kid is really good. Mike Evans at 8. How do you feel about that?
I will point out that I believe that DJ Moore should have been on here by now. As an ex-Panther, might want to say I'm biased, but I believe the fact of the matter is DJ Moore has had 1,000 yards receiving every single season of his career.
Okay.
Even with the worst quarterbacks of Carolina, even with the worst quarterbacks and the Bears last year with Fields and Baggett and all that mess going on, and they still felt the need to pay him more money this coming year, even though he was kind of already pretty highly paid. The fact that he's not in the top 6 or 7, like DJ, a little hating on DJ Moore. Now, I'm not saying Mike Evans doesn't deserve to be in the top 10. I would say Mike Evans of like 2 years ago deserves to be in the top 10, but I believe that the Mike Evans we see nowadays, I don't think he warrants top 10. And that's coming from, I watch Mike Evans twice a year. I kind of watch a lot of NFC South games just because they're the same division. There's a big fall off from Mike Evans of old to Mike Evans of now. I mean, honestly, if you want the real deep hitting truth, I believe Mike Evans is the number 2 on his own team right now. I think Godwin is a more snap after snap number 1 target based on how the routes he's pretty much just a better route runner at his stage and his age comparatively to Mike Evans. Mike Evans has been playing in the NFC South and getting beaten up for probably about 9+ years now. So I think, but I also think Mike Evans is comfortable with the fact that he'll probably retire a Buccaneer and be the all-time Buccaneer every single thing in terms of points or touchdowns and receptions and yards. I think he's fine with that because he already has a Super Bowl ring. But I think at this current moment, I think Godwin is probably the more number 1 on his own team.
Okay, fair enough. For me, I mean, I can't argue against 1,200 yards and leading the league in touchdowns with 13. So,
but you got to look how many drops he had.
Yeah, 9 drops, and he had a drop problem with when Tom was there as well. So I think drops. If you're 9+ years in the NFL, you can't be dropping the football, bro. Like you know better than that. But the other stats say otherwise. I feel like 8. I feel like anywhere from the 8 to 10 range, he would have been fine. I would be fine with him being there. But so I'm okay with it. Number 9, Diggs. Now we know Diggs. Honestly, has been beefing with Josh Allen for the past ever since they lost to
Bengals.
Bengals 2 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
And he was going at Josh Allen during the game. You knew this breakup was inevitable. It finally happened this offseason. He, got traded to the Texans basically on a 1-year deal. So he's basically trying out for the team for the long term. How do we feel about Diggs in a bad year? An off year, I should say, not bad year, but off year being number 9.
I mean, I think it's kind of warranted to be at this point. Like I said, even though I feel like Mike Evans might not be a top 10 guy at this point in his career anymore, I still think that Stephon Diggs. I mean, I think Brandon Ayuk might be a little better than Stephon Diggs. I think the only problem I have with Diggs is when he's not getting the ball. If you don't get him the ball at least 2 or 3 times by the second quarter starting, he either becomes irrelevant to the game, maybe because he's throwing a temper tantrum or something. I don't know. I'm not at the game, but like, I mean, there's multiple times because the Bills were always on prime time, so at least 6 games last year they were on prime time. So when you put you made your money for the day on FanDuel, we'll just say you made your money for the day on the FanDuel, and you go to the Sunday night card and you're looking at it, and you're like, all right, I got to make me some cute parlays with the money I won. And one of them's going to hit, and I win all that money, and we're going to be fine. But I'm going to put only the money that I won today. So you're making all these parlays, and you think to yourself, you see the Stephon Diggs 75 plus yards, and you're like, that's at like it's like 250 minus 250. So like it's kind of not good, but like Stephon Diggs has to get at least 75 yards. And like his over under is like at 90. You're like, that's a little bit of a stretch. I bump it down like 15, 20 yards. He's going to hit it. And then next thing you know, it's 4th quarter and the man has 30 yards. He's got like 7 targets and 3 catches. It's kind of one of those things like make it make sense because, I mean, Shakir's catching the ball and Shakir's getting yards. Kincaid's getting catches and getting yards. The only other person who's not producing right now is Gabe Davis, and everyone who watches know our philosophy on Gabe Davis.
He's no longer there, so he got paid. He went. Where did Gabe Davis go?
I think he went to the Jags.
Yeah, I want to say the Jags.
I think he went to the Jags. But regardless, like, and the next thing is like you've already like kind of forced your way out of 2 teams now, beefing with quarterbacks, and like one of them is like, Josh Allen. We may or may not know that like he might not be like the greatest thing of all time. Obviously, he might not be the worst thing of all time. We know that one. He's definitely not the worst. But if you look for stat, was it 3 years ago? He lost in 13 seconds. Not Josh's fault. The Bengals won completely on Josh. He had a bad game. People are warranted to have bad games. That's one bad game in the playoffs. Then last year, he had his team all the way down, and all you had to do was kick the field goal. Like, all you had to do. He didn't even put you that far away either. He put you pretty dang close. I think it was like 49, or it's a 41 yards, 39 yards. Is it either 41 or 39? I don't know.
It was in the 40s for sure.
Easy for an NFL kicker to hit it, and he'd shank the heck out of it. So, like, it's hard to blame Josh here because Josh should have beaten the Chiefs 2 times that they won the Super Bowl. Josh should have beaten them before that. Like, Josh and the Bills. One time, Josh completely got let down by his defense. Other time, he got let down by his kicker. Stephon Diggs also had beef with Kirk Cousins. Now, it's kind of hard to say you have beef with Kirk Cousins because, I didn't see Justin Jefferson having beef with Kirk Cousins. And Justin Jefferson's arguably way better than you. And I'm pretty confident Justin Jefferson didn't want Kirk to go.
So, yeah, you could probably say that, yeah.
I don't think Justin Jefferson's saying like, "Oh man, Kurt's the best thing since sliced bread." I think Justin Jefferson knows that's not true, but Justin Jefferson also knows that he'd much rather have Kurt this year than what he's got right now.
Yeah, that is for sure. Brandon Ayuk's at 10. Still hasn't been paid. Him and Higgins are like the last 2 guys. They haven't been paid. They're going to play on a franchise tag. No problems with Ayuk here. And then moving on to the honorable mentions, Cooper Kupp, who was injured for a good part of last year. Debo is just Debo. We said Garrett Wilson has the talent to be a top 10. Will he get there? We got to see. We already talked about some of these other guys. Nico Collins, Jalen Waddle, Wilson, Amari Cooper, who had a really good season last year. I'm surprised he didn't crack the top 10. And then, like Lawrence said, DJ Moore probably should have been in the top 10. And I would agree with him right there. And then some more.
Someone I think who needs a little bit more love is Terry McLaurin. But
last year he had a bad season last year, honestly.
Last season, yes. But, he's still productive. And the problem is he had trash.
Yeah, Sam Howell, for whatever reason, did not give that man the ball. I think Terry didn't have a 100-yard game until like week 8 or 9. Sam just threw it to running backs and to what's his name?
Jahan Dotson or something like that.
Dotson had a bad year too. Like the two top guys, Sam Howell didn't throw to it last year. He just threw to running.
You talking about Curtis Samuel?
Yeah, he threw to Samuel a lot. Yeah. So he has the talent. He definitely deserves love, but because he has top 10 talent, but the production was just bad last year. So we'll see if he bounces back with Jaden Daniels as a rookie QB. Moving on, we got I think this is linebackers. We'll probably move through this pretty quickly. Fred Warner, I had no problem at number 1. Fred is a beast, and even though he's getting up there in age, he's 27, which is not old, but that's he's getting up there. He's elite. I got no problem. Lawrence,
got nothing wrong with that. You can arguably say if what's his name? The other running back. Linebacker. Man, I can't remember his name. I can't remember his name.
Yeah, anyway, I'm blanking on the name.
His running mate, his number 2. If he didn't get hurt in the Super Bowl, they were about to clutch it out. They were kind of shutting him down. And Greenlaw, sorry, that's his name. Greenlaw. If he hadn't gotten hurt, Fred and him were literally locking down in that middle of the pack, middle range, keeping everything underneath, keeping the run game stuff, allowing the corners. Not gonna say they were playing one dimensional, passing wise, but the corners had their job. You get your wide receiver, and that's your job. And I think him and Greenlaw were doing an amazing, fine job. I think Fred Warner is probably one of the best since the Bobby Wagner, what do you call it? His prime and Luke Kuechly days of a guy of a middle Mike linebacker just calling out what the offense is doing, and kind of keeping that middle part right there. You run in this section, you're gonna get lit up. You pass in this section, you're gonna get lit up. But cleanly, Fred Warner is very clean. He's not a dirty player.
I agree with that. Roquan Smith, number 2, I would agree with this. Roquan is pretty much Baltimore's defense. That's why he's the highest paid player on that defense. That's why they let Queen walk, because you can't have Baltimore loves to pay their defensive guys, but they're not going to pay 2 Mike linebackers basically the same amount of money. So one had to go, and obviously Smith is the better one.
Yeah, Lawrence. Smith is the better one, especially for blitz packages. I think Smith is way better at blitzing. I think the issue you'll miss Queen is for coverages. I think Roquan Smith is a little bit worse in coverage. But if we're talking about against the run and blitzing, I think Roquan Smith you got to be your top guy.
Agree with all of that. Matt Milano for the Bills is at number 3. Last year at the number 4, so one spot up. I don't watch too many AFC East games, so I can't speak too much on Milano. Lawrence, how do you feel about Milano at 3?
I watched a lot of his primetime games. Like I said, I don't watch a lot of the AFC games or AFC East during the day games. A lot of times because during the day games, the Bills are blowing everyone out. For some other reason, when they're at home and 1 o'clock, they kind of murder. But when they're on primetime, you see a lot of Matt Milano. I think the only problem is he's kind of always hurt. That's the biggest downfall. And that's like almost any of the Bills players. You can literally write that up for any Bills player. They almost always get hurt. There's something wrong with that team. Maybe you should check out your strength and conditioning program because something ain't working.
Yeah, the Bills for the past couple of years, just defensive players in particular, just be getting hurt way too often. So they got, like I said, got to fix that. We mentioned Queen earlier. Went to the Steelers because Baltimore, they love paying defensive guys, but they ain't gonna give two guys the same amount of money. So Queen went to Pittsburgh, rival. I like this for Pittsburgh because they definitely needed a Mike. They got their defensive line set, but as far as linebackers, they were kind of lacking. So he kind of temporarily fixes the problem until they get like a good linebacking core. But how do we feel about him at 4?
I got no problem with it. Like I said, I think him and Roquan, I think you had a really good run. I think your defense is going to suffer a little bit more. But you had a really good run because Queen was much better in the coverage and kind of getting guys in the in open space. I think you have to sacrifice that in order to keep Smith. But I think if you're going to try to keep a leader, I think Roquan gives a little bit more of a leader role, a kind of just get that vibe. He seems more, I wouldn't say loudmouth, but his voice just seems like it echoes further.
Number 5, we got Nick Bolton for the Chiefs. Last year he was at 8. This year he is the 5th on the list.
I think this one's really good, and I'll chime in really quick because I said that. I just think it's really good because he's so young and he hasn't gotten really paid yet. And I think that's the biggest key is he's not going to be on the Chiefs. I think it's going to be like next year. He won't be there because they're not going to want to pay him. And he's going to deserve a fat check.
Yeah, no problems with him at 5. He really popped out on the screen a lot of the times. If Chris Jones wasn't making the play, it was usually Bolton, and if it wasn't Bolton, it was L'Jarius Sneed. So Sneed's already gone, and like Lawrence said, Bolton's probably going to be bolting out of Kansas City here pretty soon if they don't pay him. 6, we got I'm not even gonna. I don't even know how to pronounce his last name, but we got Jeremiah, Cleveland Browns. Last year he was unranked, so this is a huge jump for him at number 6. Lawrence, how do you feel about Jeremiah being at 6?
I think it's Jeremiah Owusu Korma. I don't know. Do you want to be honest? I didn't even know if he was in the league, so I'm kind of casual. I might be a casual.
Yeah, I
might be a casual.
Yeah,
I really
honestly,
recognize that name.
I watch AFC North games, so I don't know too much about him. He definitely flashed on the screen, but I didn't know he was number 6 good. So I mean, that's my input.
Yeah, I think I just showed my casualness because I mean, I know. I mean, you're screwing up. I know all these guys. I have no idea who that was.
Tremaine Edmonds, Hokie alum, Muth from he was with the Bills last year, and now he's with the Bears. I think it was last year, right? Then he was with the Bears, was it 2 years ago?
It was. I know it was at least 2 years ago, but he might have gotten traded mid-season. I know he was injured though.
Yeah, 26. Last year he was number 3. A slight drop back to number 7. I feel like he's perfect for the Bears. Bears always, if you look at the classic Bears teams going back with Urlacher, they've always had a pretty unstoppable Mike linebacker. So Tremaine is at 7 with the Bears. I feel like it's fine.
Yeah, I agree. I think it's fine. I think Demario Davis for the Saints is. I would say it might be a little bit of a stretch at his age. I think you're asking a lot for him to be in the top 10. Do I think he's that good anymore? I think he's pretty decent, but I don't think he's a top 10 linebacker anymore. I mean, if you want to be honest with you, if we're putting a 35-year-old up in this category, I'm putting Bobby Wagner before I put Demario Davis.
Well, fair enough. And Wagner's with the Commanders right now, so yeah. I mean, I don't watch too much NFC South, so I can't really speak on Davis, but. We already talked about Greenlaw at number 9. That 1-2 punch with him and Fred. He tore his Achilles in the Super Bowl. Like early in the first half? Right, it wasn't even the second. It might have been early second quarter.
I think it was early in the second. Early in the first half, second quarter.
Yeah,
he was literally just jumping up and down the sidelines.
Yeah, unfortunate injury. Hopefully he's back at some point this year. I mean, he moved up one spot. I agree with it. That 1-2 punches is just crazy, crazy, crazy. And I don't even know how to pronounce this guy's name, but I'm not even going to. But he's number 10. I don't know if you watched him, Lawrence, but yeah, he's number 10.
I did, and honestly, I still think he's a little bit of an like a stretch, being that
Okay.
high. Um, Personally, I'm not seeing it. I thought he was really good, but I think it was a Fasalade Aluakon. Um, he's good, and yeah, he probably is around number 10 best. But if I was to pick someone straight off the, coming off the bench, I probably would take Levante David with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Also showing my casualness because it's Buccaneers, and I fare highly with the Buccaneers players. But like it's right there. Bobby Wagner, Washington Commanders, a little low in my regard, and Zaire Franklin with the Colts. I mean, you can put him higher too. So go either way with these. As long as they're in the honorable mentions, it's one way to look at it.
Fair enough. Yeah, I would probably have Levante at 10. That's just my opinion. Last list for the evening, guys. Pat Surtain, he was number 1 last year, guys. He's number 1 this year. I got no problems. He's just a lockdown corner. No problems with me. Lawrence.
Nah, I mean, I think he's getting his dues finally. I remember when he was a rookie, everyone we were saying he was taking too long to develop and get going. I think he's found his little space. I think he's moved perfectly in what he's supposed to do. I think he's a good secondary leader for that Denver's Broncos. I think it's perfectly fine where it is. And looking down on it, Denzel Ward with the Cleveland Browns. I also agree that's a very good one. Now, I will say that I feel like Ward gets beat sometimes and he kind of bites too often. But on the other side, I mean, he's getting, before he was getting it, what, Johnson or Pickens. He's getting Flowers and Odell Beckham. I mean, and he's getting T. Higgins and Chase twice a year. It's a tough task.
Yep.
You're going to get beat sometimes.
Yeah, no problem with Ward at 2. Ward is phenomenal. And this is coming from a rival. I think he's a damn good corner. Sauce is at number 3. Last year he was number 2, which Sauce is in his third. He's going into his third year, right?
I think it's his second year. No, it's his third. It's his third. Because him and Wilson are both the same year in their third years.
Yeah, Sauce phenomenal. Jets, they're known for really good secondaries. You go back, look at Revis, look at Cromartie.
Revis and Cromartie.
Yeah,
that was deadly.
So this is they're trying to build another generation of that. Sauce, I mean, he's him. He's not number 1, but he's him. I got no problem with Sauce at 3.
I think these top 3 you could take on any team, and you're walking away fine.
I agree with that. Number 4, L'Jarius Sneed. Chiefs didn't pay him, couldn't pay him, so he goes to the Titans. I think that's a really good spot for him, honestly, because I don't think the Titans really have any notable secondary pieces, really. So they're leaning more towards offense. They got Pollard, they got the rookie, not the rookie, second year. Who's their quarterback? Damn it,
Levis.
Levis. They got Hopkins. They got Boyd. They're more offense oriented, so they need someone to kind of handle the back end and kind of keep them close in games. So I got no problem with Snead at 4. He was damn good for the Chiefs.
Yeah, I think they just need more pieces around him to build. I think if you just give him a secondary, no, sorry, not a secondary. You give him 2 safeties. It's unfortunate you let Byard walk. You didn't let him walk. Sorry, you traded Byard because that would have been a really good guy to have him nearby him. But you just get him some more safeties. And then try to develop some rotational pieces at corner around him. At least give yourself 2 years. At least that he's going to be 29, 30. still pretty good for a corner when you're trying to make your little stride.
Yep, I agree. Number 5, Jalen Ramsey. Yeah, I mean he's on a pace to be a Hall of Famer. Even though he like we said about Ward, Ramsey's the same way where he bites a little too much and he gets beat a little too much. We can look back in the Super Bowl 3 years ago against Cincinnati. He just got beat a couple times, and even in some other games, if you look back when he played with the Rams, he was just getting beat a little too much. So he was hurt 2 years ago for the Dolphins, didn't play, and then last year he came back. He looked fine, so I can understand why he dropped 2, but I got no problems with Ramsey at 5.
I think my problems come with Trent McDuffie at number 6. I don't think he's that good. I think he's a product of really good pass rush from the Chiefs and having a really good corner on the other side.
Yeah.
I honestly, truly, and I'm not trying to be a hater to Trent, but I don't think he's that great.
Yeah, he's good. I'm not gonna say he's trash or he's not.
Also, like I said, I'm not saying he's trash. I just said he's not that great to be top 10.
Yeah, top 10. I feel like it's a stretch. I feel like this is just like when we talked about AJ Brown and Devontae Smith. Kind of like, okay, you got another good receiver on your team, so it's kind of helping you out. So this is kind of more the same thing. It's got not only you get the best defensive tackle on the planet, but you also have another top 5 corner. So your job is a lot easier than some of these other guys. I'm saying it's a stretch. I know you're saying it's a stretch too. Number 7, Jair. A little bit of boneheadedness in that one game last year, but you can't hate. He's pretty damn good. So I got no problems with him at 7.
I would try to find a way to slip him in the top 5, but I could leave him here at 7 based on his injury history. I could leave him there.
Yeah. Jalen Johnson with the Bears, number 8. Last year he was unranked. And then look, just signed a 4-year, $76 million contract. Young guy, only 25. To be honest, I ain't watched too many Bears games. And honestly, they were getting blown out a lot anyway. So, I mean, maybe he's, the one silver lining to their defense. I don't know. Lawrence, how you feel about this one?
I know the Bears did better the second half of the season, what the thing is saying, but I truly didn't watch a lot of Bears games. I know of Jalen Johnson. I did not recognize his game. I'll look out for it this season. But I'll say he's okay to be here right now until I see otherwise. I mean, the next one, I will also say I have problems with because that's just not okay to have him here that early on in his career. Because
yeah, he's a rookie. You could argue Christian Gonzalez was having a better year before he got hurt.
yeah, I would say so too. But I also thought he was getting cooked a lot. So I mean, I watched I watched one Seahawks game all the way through. To be fair, it was week 3, but I also remember Andy Dalton absolutely cooking Witherspoon. And Andy Dalton had bums. That was also the game where I wanted more Andy Dalton and let Bryce Young to learn a little bit, let him learn from Andy Dalton. Let Andy Dalton get beat up a little bit. But no, they didn't do that. But I also watched Andy Dalton cook Witherspoon. So to put him at number 9, oh yeah, it's week 3, he got better. I still will say there's way more corners that are better at this current moment than him being at number 9. Now, Derek Stingley, I got no problem with being at number 10 or moving up to number 9 to get out Witherspoon. But no, I don't. I truly will stand very firm pat that Witherspoon is not a number 9.
Number 10, we got Derek Stingley Jr. To be fair, I don't know too much about this kid. Apparently, he was in the same draft as Sauce. He was unranked last year, but now he's in the top 10. So, for what that's worth, good for him, I guess. Are you familiar with Mr. Stingley, Lawrence?
I'm very familiar with Mr. Stingley. I know he's an LSU product. I don't think there's anything wrong with Stingley being at number 10. I honestly, could put him higher, but I won't. I wouldn't. I'll just leave him where he is. I think he's good. I think he should be at number 9 because, I'm pulling that Witherspoon out of there. But I mean, right off the top of my head, some better corners that I believe there's better, like Lattimore. Yeah, he might have had a down year, but still would pick Lattimore over him. Carchavius Ward. I mean, there's some corners that play more of a, what do you call it? Like a, can't think of the name, slot. I know one in particular on the Chiefs. I think it's Moore. I mean, I think he's a really good corner for his role as a slot guy. Now, if I'm moving him to the edges, no, I'm definitely not putting him on the edge. He'll get cooked. But he's a smaller corner who gets you shifty. He can't go against the big guys, but he can go against the small guys in the slot. I'm definitely taking DJ Reed. I think that the DJ Reed train is real. Him and Sauce Gardner together are pretty much the Revis and Cromartie of old. I think DJ Reed doesn't get enough love. Let's see. I think of some others here. Looking at that, like Ward for the 49ers, very good. Would take him. I think AJ Terrell, again for the Falcons, a little overrated. Just a little. I watch that man get cooked all the time. Okay, I watch a lot of MC South games. I watch that man get cooked. I watched Bryce Young spin him out, okay? Bryce Young put a spin move on him.
All right, that's saying something right there.
Yeah, Bryce Young's a bum. I mean, I didn't say that, I swear.
Can't be talking about your quarterback like that. You gotta have some confidence. Yeah, Travion doesn't deserve to be in the top 10 if you're coming off ACL. Like, come on. Now he's good when he's healthy, but he didn't really play too many games last year. All right, so but Deron Bland should probably be higher up in the honorable mention. I mean, he had the NFL record for interceptions in the season, right? Well, and most pick sixes in the season, right?
Yes, he did. However, I'm pretty sure
he was all pro.
Pretty sure he got cooked a lot.
He did get cooked a lot, but to have an NFL record is pretty impressive.
And then not be in the top 10 the next year.
Yeah. And he was all pro, so I don't understand that. I mean, like you said, take the rookie out and pick the guy who was all pro and has an NFL record in there. And okay, move this guy up and then put Bland at 10. I feel like that's the least they could do. So that just shows you that not everyone knows what they're talking about. So
yeah, sometimes ESPN does not cook.
Yeah, this is one of them. That's the end of the top 10 list for ESPN. Of all the position groups in NFL. Next week we'll start with breaking down the divisions. Hopefully we can get through all of the divisions before the first game. I think the first game is September 6th, right, Lawrence?
I do believe so. No, yeah. September 6th is the first week. Tomorrow we get football tomorrow, though. We get football tomorrow.
Hall of Fame game is tomorrow. I don't think the Bears are playing their starters, though, right? Caleb's not playing, right?
I know Caleb's not playing, which, means half the team's not playing, which is lame.
I don't think the starters are going to play. Well, they play 4 instead of 3, so it makes sense for the stars to have to play the first one.
No, I feel like Caleb Williams should be out there. I feel like any rookie has no choice but to be out there. I don't even care if you're number 1 overall pick. I feel like you should play at least one drive.
Yeah, just like Summer League, kind of have okay, who cares if you're number 1 pick, you got to play. I agree with that.
I mean, you also have to look at it like, I don't want to get hurt. What Texan do you think is going to go out there in the Hall of Fame game and try to light you up and kill you? I'm pretty confident none of them want a blacklist card from the NFL.
Yeah, that's true. We got a little bit of NBA and Team USA to go over. Starting back from July 27th, Tyus Jones, last year's Wizards point guard, is taking a trip out west to Phoenix on a minimum deal. A little bit of mismanagement for the Wizards for not trading up the trade deadline when he had tons of interest and teams were willing to give you a first-round pick. This was a huge mismanagement. I know the Poole and Tyus Jones experiment didn't work out, but once you move Jordan Poole to the bench, and you saw how good Tyus was playing. It was at that point where you should have, decided to either trade him because his value is going way up, or to just re-sign him then there. So this was mismanagement on their part. Lawrence, how you feel?
I agree. I mean, he's one of the only guys I didn't want to see leave. There's a certain many people you could take away, but I thought the Tyus Jones and honestly, I thought the Tyus and Valanciunas was going to be a really fun combo that we never got to see again.
Yeah. Knicks re-signed Precious. I guess that's good. He's a good backup big. Luke Kennard is going back to the Grizz on a 1-year deal, $11 million. Ja just needs more shooters around him. And the second of the Twin Towers, Lawrence, we thought they would break up the Twin Towers, but they are together for another 3 years, bro. 3 years, $91 million.
Pretty lame.
Now, we've seen 2 postseasons where they just do not work. And this last postseason, his teammates were really upset at him because he just would not, try to play when he just had some bruised ribs, or I think that was his injury, right? Bruised ribs, and he refused to play. So I guess you had to keep him, but
You didn't
you're right. This is a dumb move.
Like we said, I thought Mobley was the more compatible with the team.
Yes.
I think Mobley can play a big. He can play power forward. He can move him around. He's more of the current day kind of big. I think Allen is just like an old day big that's not even that big. I mean, we're gonna give him the height part, but talking about the big, the chunky, the
chunky boy
mass. He's not that big.
Yeah, I mean, and when you look at it in the East, there's only one big you have to worry about, and that's Porzingis. I guess Joel, but let's be honest, the Cavs, even with this, aren't in that top 3 where you have to worry about Joel. So maybe they think they are, but I mean, this move I think sets them back because you could have honestly got something for Jared Allen, and you chose to just keep this team together that just hasn't been able to produce. So this is what they want. This is what they want.
Doesn't mean you have to
Team
like
USA. They beat Serbia. So the United States beat Serbia was a Sunday, and then just today they stomped out South Sudan after just beating them by 1 point just a few weeks ago, right? And was it Abu Dhabi or whatever?
Yes, sir.
I don't know if you caught any of today's game, but any thoughts so far on the U.S. being 2-0 in group play?
I pulled it up when it was 86-68 or something like that, and then I turned it off because I didn't care. I was like, oh, I thought maybe they might be close because I was busy, and then I turned it on. I thought it might be kind of close or something. Maybe they gave another run or something. No, it was a murder. So I didn't watch any of the murder massacre at all.
Fair enough. I was at work, so I caught the last little bit when they were up by like 20 something, but that wasn't too enjoyable to watch. But I believe the U.S. plays on, I think it's Friday. Don't quote me on that, but I think they play Puerto Rico Friday. It's either Friday or Saturday. So before they move on to the tournament stage, and then the 3v3, the U.S. men is currently 0-2. They pretty much only have Jimmer, so it's pretty sad that they are still haven't won a game yet. I think they have like Jimmer and then some like old NBA legends like Son, who's like a scientist or something. Like he's playing. Like what? We can't get like some like borderline all stars to come help out Jimmer. Like what the hell are we doing?
I mean, one of them I can't believe is Greece because in my head I was pretty confident that Greece is like one of the better leagues in Europe to play at.
Yeah.
And they all look horrible. The only one that looks good is Giannis. Giannis is doing every single bit of the work, carrying every bit of the load, and it doesn't even matter because they lost to Spain. And then you look at Spain's roster, and you're like, who the hell are these guys?
Japan and France went to overtime yesterday. Japan should have won that game, but they have a boneheaded point guard who fouled a 3-pointer, and they tied it up, and France never looked back. So if you guys haven't checked out the Olympic basketball, it's actually pretty good this year. I would definitely check it out, men's and women's. And UFC 304, Lawrence, we watched this fight together at one of our favorite places. Any thoughts? You want to recap the fight?
Well, then, now that you say that, and I'll be getting into the coming up weeks as well. I don't want to say I told you guys, but I totally did tell you guys. I told you guys that Leon Edwards was not him. He was not that great. Do I believe Bilal Muhammad's going to stay champion for long? No, Dana White's going to put the undefeated Russian against him, and he's going to murder him. But Bilal Muhammad got to have his moment. He got to have his revenge against Leon Edwards. Like I said, I think Bilal Muhammad was. I thought he was going to win the fight the whole time. I kept putting money on it throughout the night. Like I told you, every time I won a bet, I put more money on it. Second shout out. I want to call out. I kind of understand what Dana White was saying. They're professional athletes. They know what time they were going to fight. I told them what time they were going to fight. Be prepared for what time you're going to fight. But also, you're disappointed that these guys did not fight the best to their standards, and you're making them fight at 5 a.m. It's just like one of those things. Like, make it make sense. Like, if these guys were fighting at, I'll even cut them a bone. If these guys were fighting at 2 a.m., like the main event started over there at 2 a.m. I think that's normal for British people and Spaniards. Spaniards just party up until like 4 or 5 a.m. Like they're still in the clubs until 4 or 5 in the morning. I think English guys are the same way. They're up until the club until like 3 or 4. So if it's like 1 o'clock in the morning and they're fighting, cool. I think that's fair. But you're complaining about them fighting at 5 a.m. This is one of those things like make it make sense. Do you want to be up at 5 a.m. trying to fight someone? Probably not. Pretty sure most people don't. Going into it next, like Aspinall Blades, we both believe that fight shouldn't have been stopped when it did. Yeah, Blades was on the ground, but he was still moving. He was trying to get out.
He was actively trying to get up, and the ref called it. Hopefully, that ref doesn't ref another fight for a while because he got. Not saying he would have won the fight anyway, but he got robbed of a chance to at least try.
Yeah, he didn't get a chance to try. Like I said, I'm saying Aspinall is bad. I'm not. I'm just not saying he deserved that win. In my opinion, he didn't get enough. He didn't do enough to deserve it. We got to watch Patty the Batty choke out King Green. Now people were kind of shitting on King Green for even trying to do that takedown and fight him on the ground when Patty's a much better grappler than he is. Dude, Bobby Green's been fighting for I don't know, almost a decade now.
Okay.
He's not scared to fucking get on the ground with people. He's got on the ground with anyone before. Did he know he was going to get choked out like that? 100% he didn't. But I mean, shit happens real quick. That's what Dana White said. He said shit happens. I don't think Dana White was disappointed in Bobby Green at all. But it would be nice to watch someone kind of rock Patty the Batty for once. Rodriguez, I said that this fight was going to be the hard one to call. I said that the fight starts going off all the British way, kind of avoid it. I'm glad I said that because Rodriguez won. I didn't even bother with this one. There's so many other fights on the card. There was no need to bother with that one. Again, Allen, I said Allen should be the one to win. Depending on how the fight's going before, take Allen. Depending on if they're going bad for the Brits, don't go with Allen. But at the end of the day, I said go with Allen. It worked out. The parlay I had made, I made one parlay that didn't make it even past the first fight. I thought the Romanian would beat the Irish girl. The Irish girl figured out a way to win a split decision. So props to her. I immediately made my parlay again, but without that one, and I won. So, and that was Bukakis to win. Now, I do believe that Muhammad Mukekov, who they no longer have in the UFC anymore. He got dropped after the fight card. They said he beat Cape, or I don't know, Cape, Cap. I don't know how you want to say his last name. I can't remember. I'm also in the crowd that said it was one of the worst fights ever from two people who apparently absolutely despise and hate each other. I think it was a little rigged in a sense that he literally pulled his pants down. Like Mukev literally pulled Manuel's pants down. Like he was literally grabbing his shorts. And he didn't get a point deduction for it, so that was pretty trash. Nathaniel Wood won, Allen won, Pemblet won, Aspinall won, and Bilal Muhammad won. So the parlay hit. As long as you didn't put the first fight. Sorry about that one, boys.
Hey, you can't win them all. Can't win them all, but I think you know always dropping them gems for the people if you are out there and listening and following along. And do we have a fight night this weekend? Right?
Oh, it's an amazing fight night this weekend. They're starting off gorgeous. It's Sandhagen versus Nurmagomedov. So absolutely gorgeous start to August. I think it's an amazing card. Honestly, from the prelims, you know, the prelims are what they are. I don't think there's anyone really amazing on the prelims. I think maybe at max you can say the last fight of the prelims, Minifield versus Murzakhanov. I'm going to say it like that. That one might be a good one. That might be a hidden gem. Other than that, Sam Hughes versus Duda Kuva might be a good one. But you know, honestly, this is a fight night on ABC. It is going to be on ABC. The reason why it's on ABC is the main card. Pretty much from beginning to end, this is a pretty stacked card. First one might be a little bit of a hit or miss for the casuals. I will say I'm more of a casual myself. So Alvarez versus Brenner. Don't have much insight on that one. But I think it's hard to fade her. But I might just have to. But as of right now, I'm going to take Mackenzie Dern. I think she's on a little bit of a heater. I hope she can keep that heater going through this fight. I think she's fighting someone a little bit under her class. But Mackenzie Dern needs a staple win. She absolutely needs a staple win. We're not gonna bet the Chiesa versus Tony Ferguson unless you're gonna bet Chiesa to knock out Ferguson. That's the only thing you can bet. Either not submission or knockout. It's one or the other. Ferguson is on a drought. This next fight, my biasy is going to take the advantage. Is going to put me at a disadvantage. So fade me at all costs. But if you don't, you might win. Just saying. I'm going to take Marlon Chito Vera to beat Davison Figueiredo. I do like some Davison Figueiredo, but I'm a big Chito Vera fan. I think Chito Vera can win this fight. But if you want me to put my honest opinion on it, you probably should take Figueiredo. I think he's a better technical fighter. I think Vera is a better just all-around scrap. Dirty, like not dirty, but, you know, if fight gets in a dirty, he's probably better at it.
Okay.
Davison Figueiredo pretty much has only lost to like one guy in his whole career. You know, Vera's 23-9 at this point, but he's got some good, decent wins. He did take Sean O'Malley to the very brink. So I'm pretty sure he's the only person to do that so far. Then we're going to take Magomedov. It's kind of hard to go against him. We're going to have to take him. Pretty much this is going to be the night of the Russians. And we're going to think the Russians have this great, amazing call, blah, blah. And then Nurmag, whatever, Doff. In the main event, he's minus 340. And then all of a sudden he gets hit by a right hand by Sandhagen. And then he puts him in the ground. So I believe that Ermal is going to win too.
Okay.
But Sandhagen's totally going to win, guys.
Sure. Some more gems for you guys. Like I said, ABC. This fight will be on ABC on this upcoming Saturday.
It's going to
So
be so fun.
we'll be watching. Hopefully, you guys will be watching as well.
When does it start? Is it starting around 6? It's in Etihad Arena, so it's in Abu Dhabi, right?
Yeah, it says it starts. Prelims are at 12 on ESPN2, ESPN Plus, and then the main card is going to be at 3.
True that.
3 p.m. on ABC and ESPN Plus. So this will be available to the masses. They really want people to subscribe to that ESPN Plus for all the other fight nights and pay-per-view. So definitely take advantage of a really stacked card, guys. That's all I got. I got nothing else for you guys. Just I think track and field starts August 2nd. So be on the lookout for if you're a track and field person. They start the 2nd. Other than that, Olympics have been fine. So keep watching if you've been watching, guys. But other than that, that's all we got. So let's wrap it up. Head on out for the night. It's MTL Sports episode 107. Thank you guys for watching. Thank you guys for listening on Spotify, all that good stuff. And we will see you next week. Peace.